Do you hear us?
Hi, yeah, I can hear you, and it
Ah,
seems that only
Good.
only me as a student joined you too, because I heard you are talking in Portuguese, so I
Oh
do not want
Oh,
to
no,
interrupt you.
sorry. It's a
sorry.
bad
It's
habitude,
okay. It's
but
okay.
we still don't switch automatically, from
Yeah, yeah,
Portuguese to English. It's
yeah.
it's curious, but when we switch, we switch. How are you?
Yeah, good. Last week I traveled to a WTO meeting, and it seems that because for WTO the official language was English, French, and then Spanish. For unfortunately not Portuguese, but I cannot understand Spanish as well. So, but they do have good interpreters. So I was wondering why they put Spanish as one of the three official languages there. Yeah,
Well, we should count the Spanish speakers.
yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
are, it's the whole Latin America and Caribbean, except for Brazil. I think that there
Mm.
are more Spanish speakers than Portuguese speakers,
Oh, definitely.
isn't it?
Yes.
I think so, because Portuguese is Brazil, Portugal, and at least five other African countries.
Oh, there was also Macau, China, who was speaking
Yeah,
Portuguese. That's
yeah,
why they have a, yeah.
yeah.
So
And you speak, besides your mother tongue, you speak English and a third
English
language.
and Japanese, and sometimes little, very, very little French. So
Oh,
because Japan is our neighbor, and in the history, um, they invaded China, and we all currently have the Nanjing massacre, which proclaims that they massacred about 300,000 Chinese during their invasion of the Second World War. And that's also when the Flying Tigers from the voluntary US pilots who have been transporting the goods to assist the Chinese to fight against the Japanese invasion across the mountain Himalayas, from Myanmar then to China, from India to China. That's why I think recently, after our hello visit, there was the seniors from the Flying Tiger team of the U.S. Uh, pilots. They visit China to visit where they have been fighting. So during in the 1940s, 1950s.
wow. And
Yeah,
and tell me something. Um, in extent to which Japanese and Chinese have any common root?
well, in fact, is if you trace the Japanese and also Koreans, all dated back to ancient Tang Dynasty Chinese language. And even nowadays in Japan, I don't know whether you have the opportunity to visit or not. Every year they will choose a single word because in China we have a calligraphy uh, called the Chinese writing because uh, if you can write really good calligraphy, you can earn a quite a decent life just by writing. And in Japan, they will choose a word for the year. To choose a word, usually this word is a Chinese word. Maybe the meaning is different because it's from ancient Tang Dynasty. But after the Second World War, and they accepted many of the English words into their language, and they use part of the Chinese character as a pronunciation. So we do can understand each other because they still use many of the Chinese words, but they do not want to be, Chinanized. So they want to be more pro-Western. That's why for the younger generations, they use more and more of these English words, but for the older generations, they still prefer the calligraphy just as the Chinese do. And also before, because the capital of Japan was called Tokyo. Tokyo in meaning, it means Dongjing. Dongjing means the capital in the east, because we have Beijing, the capital in the north, and then we have Nanjing, capital in the south, and then we have a Xijing called the Xi'an province and the Xi'an city. So the Japan believe that they are the East capital of the ancient Chinese civilization. They believe that after our Yuan dynasty, when we were ruled by our Mongolian minorities, they think the traditional Chinese culture was inherited by Japan rather than by China. So they think we should learn from them. So we have a quite complicated and quite an argument in all the aspects. And even for the flag, national flag of South Korea is from ancient book of calculations. So, but they are applying for UNESCO heritage. And so,
Well,
yeah,
But so you
it's just like Brazil, when you are big, then you have influence upon the neighbors. So it's quite natural.
you have so you speak Japanese, right? Or as well?
Yeah, 初めましてよろしくお願いします。
Okay.
Nice to meet you for the first time. I even got a Japanese name called Ligodo-san. Ligodo.
no,
But for Japanese,
such a difficult language.
我会说一点点中文。
that's good. If you can learn Chinese well, then you can learn basically all the language, because Chinese language is totally different.
Yes.
And last time there was a joke online in Chinese, we say 意思意思. It just I have some meaning, but in English it translates into over 10 versions, because 意思意思 in Chinese you can mean that you are bribing, or you have some special meaning, or you have no meaning at all, or you have some connotation, or you do not have a connotation. So it just drives some Chinese language learners crazy. But it seems there was more and more Americans are learning Chinese, because they are really preparing to, really serious compete with us. So that's also bizarre. So the serious we get the kind of commercial confidence, and it seems that driving more and more Americans learn Chinese. And
No, I heard the opposite. I heard the opposite, that the number of American students, I heard it from an American professor, that they used to get more American students interested in Chinese language in the past, not nowadays. Well, but well.
Thank you for the explanation. It was our whole class. Hi, Christine.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Hi, Christine.
I'm fine, thank you. Hi. It's funny because I've been, well, it's still a little bit more on Japanese and Chinese and different languages for us, at least. I'm going to travel to Japan with my family on February, on middle of February.
Wow.
So of course I know absolutely nothing on Japanese, on the language. And we've been doing this Duolingo app, and there are some blocks of lessons. First one was food, of course, because we said that we needed the Duolingo because we were going on a trip. So okay, first block was okay, so I know some words. Now I know gohan, mizu, and sushi and stuff like that. And then it moved to, like, professions, and okay, so we moved into a little bit more complex word of stuff. And then it moved to introducing yourself. Guys, I just can't remember the sounds. You see, the structure is different, which okay, we can kind of remember because the verb is always at the end of the sentence, and there is no feminine or masculine for the a person. There's no a person or stuff like that. But the words are very different, and it's so difficult to remember the sounds. It's so many different sounds, and they are alike in some sense. The I'll say nothing now, but like the kimini and the koda and the kijuzi, you see, so they're so very alike, and they mean different things. It's so very difficult for us. Well, at least when I'm 57, you see, my son was doing Japanese classes a while ago, and also him thought that they were quite difficult to learn. But guys, I'm nearly giving up my Duolingo classes, and I'm bringing my Google Translator cell phone with me, and well, we have an internet plan for the whole trip, and maybe this will do the trick. That's it.
I suggest if you go, I suggest you go to Kyoto.
I will.
Kyoto is the miniature of the ancient capital of Song Dynasty. It's a miniature because Japan is an island, so they mediated almost everything of the ancient architecture of Song Dynasty. So it's
Right.
it'll be quite different from the modern world.
Yeah, I'll let you know about our travel plans later on, not to interrupt the classes anymore.
It will be a wonderful trip, huh?
Yeah. We're going to be for 18 days over there with the whole week, the family.
Wonderful. 18 days. Wow.
18 whole days, apart from the 2 days we will take to get there, and the 2 days we'll take to come back. So 18 days just there.
Wonderful. Well, today, I think it's a very quick catch up, because we are in the middle of our second block of classes, and in this week and in the next week we will undertake an overview of the environmental agenda from the global and national levels. So as it is a very exploratory theme, we chose this week to free you from activities. It will be a catch-up week for those who are with the, como é que se fala, retardo?
We're behind.
Yeah, who lag behind any activity, and for those who are up to date with their activities, an opportunity to review all the contents, because we are just diving in the agenda stricto sensu. So we will change the nature of our thoughts. We were discussing methodological and philosophical and what is this word, epistemological foundations for and historical foundations for environmental policy, and now we are diving into its core. What does environmental policies do, and on which subjects, and with which instruments and policy tools? So this will be a quiet week, and if you have some doubts or some issues that you think they were rather obscure, you can review them and bring it to us in order to have the opportunity to discuss and don't leave behind any obscure points. This is our plan, our flight plan of this week. And about the past week, how did you go with the activities, with the subjects?
I think there's one point during your professor lecture is quite impressive. I remember you said that environment policy usually all the time involves the horizontal coordination. It means that environmental policy itself not purely involves only the department or the ministry only in charge of environmental protection, but when you implement the policy, you have to get involved with others, like maybe commercial policy, maybe industrial policy, or maybe urban plan, urbanization policy. So that's how to say, before the lecture, I did not realize that, but after your lecture and also doing the homework, I found that it involves a lot, like last week's topic when we do the assignment about how we implement. I remember the theme was whether there was any follow-up or any appraisal evaluation. I just found it just for for Chinese case, because it's so big, so they created some kind of supervision mechanism, and but this team cannot be established by the locals. It has to be established by the central level, and then the central level will send the teams to various provinces ad hoc without schedule, kind of sudden inspection, kind of deep investigation. In this case, it's just to ensure that everybody was sticking to the environmental policy. Otherwise, only the Ministry of Urbanization, only the Ministry of Environment Protection, they don't have the enforcement powers. They did not have the power to investigate or to give penalty notices. So this is quite a striking point that I learned last week.
I'm glad you noticed it, because this highlights the importance of the concept of governance. It's not only the power to interfere, it's not only about having the means, the tools, the resources and capacities to interfere, but you have to know how to build up, to set up this architecture of power and enforcement. And this is not only with authoritarian or disciplinary measures, but is with negotiation and cooperation and the building up of cooperation regimes. This is all environmental policy is about, And in the other side, just to comment here, because this will emerge in the next lessons, in the extent to which environmental problems become more and more challenging, and their consequences more severe and harmful, you have a kind of securitization of environmental policy, because you have to be prepared to extraordinary events. So in climate change, for instance, there is many people talk about climate security, how to act in emergency situations. Water crisis also, when you have water shortages, you have to do something, because more than 48 hours people die because of lack of water. So you have to have a water security plan to respond, to build the capacity to respond to emergency situations. This brings the tendency to transform environmental policy in a national security policy. And if you go to, I don't know about China, unfortunately, I never dedicated my time to study China. But if you study the national security activities from United States, you will see that water issues are there a long time ago. They are discussing it as a national security problem, especially because of terrorism, also because you can have eco-terrorism, terrorist activities provoking water shortages and the non-availability of the use of the current water sources. So it is we will really have to dedicate our time to the governance system of environmental issues. This is it. I'm very glad you noticed it's
so
there is please.
No, because I saw that Lee shared the YouTube link, and I would like to know if you want to comment on that.
I shared the two links. The first one is
I didn't see.
When I share with you about the solar farm, I did not notice that there was many foreigners who have already made a video on the YouTube. So let me open it to share the screen with you for the first few minutes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. It's quite shocking, because I never noticed that somebody was doing this instead of the Chinese way self. So let me see. I'll share the video. Oh, yeah. I do not know how I can share with playing.
If you did share the link, you did share on the chat,
Yes.
then we can try to share ourselves.
Because when they click on the video, it's played on YouTube. So, but on YouTube page, there is no share button.
No, you share your screen first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then you click.
Okay.
You share your screen.
As you did share the last time with the document you were sharing with us, and then you share. You click the play button,
On YouTube.
and then.
Yeah, but it seems I cannot find the button.
It's the green.
Let me see.
It's the green button at the bottom of the Zoom. Are you on a cell phone?
Yeah.
It's much harder than it is. Just do you want us to do that for you?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so let me find the chat.
Thank you.
Just one
Clearly
second.
in China, we do not use Zoom.
Yeah.
What app do you use?
We use Tencent and
Okay.
Huawei meeting. So the more the US, sanctions, the more we use, because it seems we are just going the opposite. So.
I'll go to the first link first, okay?
Yeah, please.
Just one second. I'm opening the link. Okay, one second. It's loading. Just one second. Okay. Let me get back to us. Yeah. Share. Here. Share. Can you see that?
Yeah, Chris,
Okay.
Begin the screen sharing.
In China, almost 10 trillion kilowatts of power hit the ground every second. That's more than 3 times the output of all the power plants in the world. And here in the vast Gobi Desert in Gansu province, northwest China, they're trying to capture just a slice of that and put it to good use.
Wow.
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 Yeah, I never realized a foreigner has made a video on that.
Yay.
So it's also surprising for me.
How do you call it? Is this an energy farm?
It's a solar farm.
Solar farm. Yeah, it's really a farm. Incredible.
This, what you're seeing around me, was built in under 2 years. They started construction in 2016 and connected it to the grid in 2018. And ever since then, it's been in use. Now that beaming light source at the end of the road, brighter than the sun, we're going to learn a lot more about that later in the video, so make sure you stick around to the end. Now this should give you a little bit of a sense of the scale of these things. They are absolutely enormous. And there are 12,000 of them in this solar farm. Literally the bottom of this is level with my head. When I saw pictures, I imagined it was going to be like a similar size to me if I put my arms out. But hopefully you can really understand how big they are when I stand next to it. I had to get me sunglasses on because you can barely look at that thing. It's so bright. Seriously, with stuff like this, I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to see something like this. And that's what we're bringing to you on the Barrett channel. So if that ain't enough for a subscription, I don't know what is. It's absolutely free. Click that button down below so you don't miss out on all of our China content.
Amazing. Amazing.
Now, each of these 12,000 heliostats behind me consists of 35 3.3 square meter panels. In total, that's a reflecting surface of 1.4 million meters squared. That's a third of the size of New York City's Central Park.
Amazing.
Okay, so we're about to ask the experts some questions to further understand this solar panel farm. But here I'm with Rachel, who goes by the name of Miss Wow online.
Yeah, hi everybody. This is Miss Wow, and I'm doing technology. But now we really want to know that how does all the solar panels track the sound throughout the day? Because they said that they can move it every 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're moving all the time, but we'll let the expert explain it. And yeah, we're just waiting for him to come over and we'll ask him a few questions.
Yes.
So as me and Ms. Wow are not experts on this solar farm, we're lucky enough to be joined by Mr. Hui, who's going to educate us a bit more about it. So you've got the first question.
Yeah, my question is, I got a very curious question. Is that how to design a smart algorithm that can make all the solar panels track the sound throughout the day and focus all the lights on the tip of the tall tower?
因为每天太阳的位置是能够计算出来的，我们有一套精密的计算软件，能够每天的把太阳的位置计算出来，然后通过软件发送给每台定日镜的控制器，控制器呢，然后就能够把控制每台定日镜旋转的角度，把阳光反射到吸热器的受热面，然后就能收集能量。
I know of traditional solar panel farms, but this one is a thermal solar panel farm. So what's the difference?
光伏发电呢，主要是利用了太阳能光伏板的光胜伏打效应。它呢就是直接是把光转换成电了。光热发电呢是主要是有一套储热的系统，它利用这套储热系统呢，能够克服太阳能时空的不连续性和不稳定性，持续的稳定的输出电力。这部分电力呢，并且是可以调节的，既能够承担电网的基本负荷，也能够承担调峰的作用。是一种电网相对友好型的电源。
Thank you for answering rather our questions today, and this is a pretty incredible place.
You are welcome.
Believe it or not, this solar farm creates 2.4 million kilowatt hours of electricity per day. That's enough to power 500,000 homes in the area. And it's thought that a quarter of the world's energy is going to be produced by solar farms by 2050. China have really been ramping up their green credentials over the past several years, and that ain't slowing down anytime soon. By the next 20 years, they expect to have a 550% increase on its green energy. All of the solar panels that are directed towards this tower, they heat up the salt inside up to a liquid, up to 550 degrees Celsius. And then what that heat is then used for is to heat up water into steam, and that steam powers huge turbines. You see that behind me? That has got a hell of a lot of power in it. It's mad. That is literally brighter than the sun. Brighter than the sun.
So basically, this is a video made by kind of foreign investigators. They just want to go there to check for themselves, really what is working and how it is working. But they found that the solar panel turned with the sun and controlled by computer and then converted into energy. But in this video, because it's kind of made earlier, so we did not see
from this place where I'm stood right now, almost under the thermal tower, turn you around and it's a 1.6 kilometer stretch all the way down there to the end of the last solar panel, and it's exactly the same the other way round. So it's a 3.2 kilometer stretch in total, which is a long way.
A long way. It's a long way.
I've just come up to the top deck here, and would you take a look at that behind me? We can see all the sun rays emitting off of the solar panels there. Anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of this video. I really hope you did enjoy it. I put a lot of effort into making this one, And yeah, I've had a great time here. If you did learn anything at all, make sure you drop a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I do always appreciate that as well. If you did like this video, you will like this one over here as well, which is another crazy bit of infrastructure. It's a hotel built into the side of a quarry. So go and check that one out as well. As always,
this is a personal advertisement. So it seems there was many foreign bloggers that went to China and they shoot the videos up on each, and then they gain the online traffic and then to earn some income. So this also happened to a lot of Chinese tourists who went to Brazil and went to other countries to make a video log and then to attract the comments. So this is one quite surprising because I never noticed there is a foreigner who are interested in the Gobi Desert because it's quite from urban center is
over the past decade, prices for solar panels and wind farms have reached.
The second video is about the investigation. It's just I think 1.5 minutes long. It just shows that Professor last week topic there was supervision and investigations by various departments into the environment pollutions in localities. And I think Chris, you can kindly share the
yeah.
So screen again. Yeah, please.
Loading it. Just loading it. 1 second.
There was from 2000. I think it's from 2009 or 2015. There were 3 batches of investigations. So the central government will dispatch team to various provinces, then to find out the problems and then to give criminal civil penalty suggestions.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Whoops. Sorry.
Adapted the strategy to protect operations legally. Yeah. Unfortunately, they are not the only ones to adopt this kind of strategy, bribing strategy.
It just says that the public security was involved to investigate the illegal mining who resulted in a series of pollution. So this is, how to say, China is not so far so kind of perfect in environment protection. We are still learning how many things to do. It's also linked to one of the WTO cases when we have the big government with the United States. At that time, that the US says that China, you cannot stop your exploitation of rare earth. And we say that because for some company,
Se você observar uma imagem térmica de uma cidade e compará-la com um mapa de vegetação, poderá notar que onde tem áreas verdes, a temperatura é mais baixa.
It just changed it. It's another video.
Yes, it's another video. The other video is not shared by me, so.
No, it just entered automatically.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, because one follows another and another, and this is made to hypnotize you.
Mais altas nas cidades, em comparação com seus arredores.
But it sounds so fluent, although I cannot understand a single one word. So it just says that for China, because we are far from perfect. For China case, I remember 10 years ago, we do not have even a Ministry of Environmental Protection. And now we have a kind of powerful ministry that they can, open a hearing and ask the local powerful governor to come to Beijing to attend the hearing, to explain, and then to tell the public who is responsible, what punishment you give, and what kind of remedies you take. So it's really changing. And There was also a lot of public outcries if there is a serious accident, and if the local government do nothing, then because nowadays, for all the people talk about like China was kind of no so kind of free expression, but in China the real picture is as long as you do not touch the really core political sensitive issue, you can talk about everything. And from environmental protection, you can talk about it, and if you gain enough public attention, then the local governor has to take measures. Otherwise, he might lose his job for this. No.
Oh, Lee, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you have national statistics about the environmental bureaucracy in China? How many environmental officials do you have permanently hired to work in environmental protection?
I think it has to be, how to say, because currently at the central level, it may be only around 1,000. In the ministry called the Ministry of Ecology and Environmental Protection. But we have 34 provinces, municipalities, and autonomous regions. Every region has a department of ecology in responding to Ministry of Ecology. So they have maybe 1,000 personnel each province. So they divided up to about 35,000 professionals who are dedicated to ecology and environment protection currently. Yeah.
35,000.
Yeah, 35,000. And we also implement a quite interesting system is seeing that because we are not doing so good job in protection rivers or lakes, so we created a system of definitely one person, like for me, the government will endorse me as the head of the lake. And then for this lake, all the traffic, all the tourism, and all the pollution will be under my responsibility. If there is income, I can get bonus or get promoted. If there is pollution, I have to take the responsibility. So my only job was to care about the lake. So this is a kind of pilot program, and now is rolling out across the country. We have a head of a river for 1 kilometer long. So you are only responsible for this 1 kilometer long, but usually protected river, you have to coordinate a lot of things. Maybe there's a private company or there's a state-owned enterprise who opened a sewage channel there. Then you have to shut it down. In order to shut it down, you have to prove it's polluting. So you have to get public security, get the local government involved, and then you have to talk with the company, and you may have to get the support with all the neighbors to gain their support to support you. But it's because the responsibility and accountability is clear, so it's getting progress.
Very interesting and very challenging too.
Yeah, very, very challenging. That's why usually the head of the lake or the head of part of river, usually a official from the government, and he has to be kind of from the powerful department. So usually now we are like designated one person from public security department or from the reform planning department to be the head of the lake. So that will easier the job a lot. Yeah, because he has the authority, he has some power to enforce.
Yeah. Very
It's interesting because I was while we were watching the first video with all the apparatus of generating energy, thermal energy, and solar energy, and I was immediately thinking of one mechanism that I've seen, because what I do, Lee, is I am an instructional designer. So my job is to plan ways to make it easier for the contents to be delivered to the students. So I have this wonderful job that I
in fact
I'm the luckiest.
Yes, that's so interesting to learn. In fact, we have program to invite friends from developing countries, only from developing countries, to visit China usually for a 3-week program. And some of them are focused on green development, low carbon neutrality, or carbon capture technology, and they're rolling out every year. I will check with whether we can invite you later through proper channel to let you to have a look. And it is quite magnificent, but it's quite far away from because it's built in the Gobi Desert. It's in the desert area, so yeah.
Right. So the thing is, I was once planning. I would love to know this that you're mentioning better. We would lovely to know what you're doing there better. But once I was planning this course on for technicians, so it was for the photovoltaic system installers. So it was for those specific kind of technicians, and so they have these different kind of systems, which are the on-grid systems, the one that are directed to the grid, and there are these ones that are, we say that isolated systems, the autonomous systems that they live without the energy system around. They only take the energy from the sun, and they usually use that for pumping water, for example, now from the ground, and for irrigating the plantation, and for generating energy for houses, or sometimes for generating energy for a whole hospital in a very isolated area in the northern part of the country. So it's still, especially in the northern part of the country, important kind of system, this isolated system that we say. And there is this hybrid system that deals with the combined system. Yeah, you generate the energy, and you save the energy in the through big. You use the batteries and you save them, and then you use the energy during the night, for example, when the sun is not out anymore, and stuff like that. Well, for this isolated system, there are many communities that live like by the river, and they are typically poor communities. We call them here. Is there a translation for ribeirinha, or in a better sense? It's communities that live by the river, and usually they are poor communities, and so they
Local.
are now.
I never heard of a synonym for ribeirinho. Ribeirinho means people who live along the margins of the river, very close, really close. But I think that in English they are called local communities, communities.
But living really, really along the river, the margins of the river, and they are usually very poor people, and that live in a very precarious condition. And but now they are starting to rely on solar panels, but of course not clearly in this isolated system, not the one connected to the grid, because the grid just doesn't get there. And when I saw the big system that we saw in the first video, I immediately thought of the other extreme, which was these communities relying on something that they mount rafts made of wood, like they have like pieces of wood, and they tie them with ropes, and they put like one panel, one of those panels that the guy was standing beside, and they put one or two or three, or depending on the size of the raft, which is not typically too large, because it has to have some resistance to the movements of the river. So of course it cannot be one huge raft, and they put like 2 panels. I have a picture of them with 1 panel only, I think. I'll try to find it to share with you. And they put it there, and it has to go up and down with the movements of the river. And it's nice because it is in the river, it has no shading from the trees, and so it catches the light as better than if they were in the middle of the on land, in the middle of the trees. So it's a system that, well, I don't know exactly how they connect it to the land later on to get how the electricity goes from the panel, which is floating in the middle of the river, to whatever they want them to go, wherever they want them to go. So it's another technology that they developed, and it's the exactly extreme of what we saw. But you know, it was the first thing that came to my mind.
Very small is beautiful, you know.
Yeah,
very small.
I see. Because you know, how to say, it's creating some kind of problems with the rapid developments in China as well. So it's, how to say, we can say this paradox is an oxymoron, because like for the Gobi solar farm, it is because it is run by the computer and they follow the sun. It means that there's less jobs, less employment. So the local government once hopes that you build a solar farms and you have to provide the local jobs for, because in Gansu province people are not so rich. But in the end, they build so modern a solar farm, and one technician can control all the solar panels. So maybe it's only 1 or 2 jobs to fill the whole farm. It just kind of out of the expectation of the local government, who hope to create a sustainable job for sustainable incomes. It's also because more people will get a decent income, and then they will be more devoted into environmental protection. But at the end, they did not realize. And for the Brexit problem for China, we also have that problem before. But I do not know the Brazil case, but for China, because we have a relatively large state-owned enterprise sector. So for this state-owned enterprise, they are demanded, without pursuing commercial interests, they have to connect those remote areas, those along the river areas, those which are not commercially feasible areas, because it is their responsibility, because they are called state-owned enterprises. They have to do that. But for the private companies, they will not do that because they think it's commercially not feasible. They cannot get a profit. But for state-owned enterprise, they have to do that, and they are asked to do that. So we use this kind of how to say, the different budget for different types of company to finish the job. And nowadays, if you publish radio things that you are still not connected to the national grid in China, many people will follow you and then become serious. And then within a few days or months, then you will be connected to the national grid. So there is no problem for that. This is the power of the internet.
Yeah, definitely. I don't stop discovering more and more impacts of all those new technologies on our lives. We don't have the time to absorb and realize what's all the advantages of these breakthroughs, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the possibilities,
all the
peaceful possibilities.
Yeah, and also disadvantages, because it seems there was a lot of automation that's replacing jobs. So I think we have to find a way.
Yeah. Here too.
That's why, it just also supported the argument when we argue with the United States, that they are saying that we have forced labor, in our work with autonomous region, saying that you are using forced labor to harvest the cotton to make solar panels. We're saying we are using automation. There's almost nobody in the factory. Or you can say we are using forced labor. There's no labor in the factory. But they do not see that. They think you have this, you have that. So, yeah.
Well, guys, our we went through so rapidly. It seems we began 5 minutes ago, but we discussed so many things. So interesting. So do we have any more messages or things to share?
No, we're fine. just to make use of the opportunity that Lee's here, just to let him know that the class today is going to be released tomorrow instead of Wednesday on Thursday. But I sent them the email about that already, but just to let him know in person that on Thursday only, because of the technical issues we have on editing the videos and not on producing them. Estela is just perfect. She always releases the videos on time, but the person who's helping us with the editing sometimes because he has lots of other things to do, and sometimes we cannot release the videos together with all the rest of the materials because of that. That's the only reason why we sometimes cannot release the class on the Wednesdays, but
originally planned
yeah. So
thank you.
That's it.
So wonderful. So thank you a lot for your comments and your thoughts and for being here. It's always a very pleasant morning, the Wednesdays mornings, and we will see each other next week. Have a very nice week, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye
See
bye.
you.
Bye
Bye bye.
Ciao. Yeah. Ficamos. Bom.